What's so amazing about this device is we begin to forget about our pain, our physical pain, and we move on. I mean, I would have to sit down and make a list of, okay, my shoulders, my elbows, my hip. It's like, man, I forgot about all that stuff.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much for coming and spending time with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. So, Mike, can you just tell us a little bit about what brought you here? Like, how was your health previous to the QHS?
Yes. So, I had a hip pain, on a scale from 1 to 10, it was about a 9. And I was purchasing CBD, rub. So my shoulders were a skiing accident, went off a cliff and probably 5 years earlier, I bought a nice Marquise hot tub just to be able to soak those things and get the jets in the shoulders. But
wow,
my hip really started to hurt, and my elbows, just, probably through athletics, through just wrenching on cars, things like that. Torquing 200 foot-pounds, with your arms.
Oh, that sounds like my husband. He loves that type of stuff, working on tractors and cars.
Right. And, one of my good friends, Bob, which I always talk about Bob, he kind of researched. He does a bunch of research, and I was looking into frequency devices. And this was, 6 months prior, just trying to figure out, because I knew frequencies could heal and actually create. And I believe they actually create skin in petri dishes with frequencies.
Really?
So it was like, wow. So I tried a couple of frequency devices beforehand, before I came to this. They didn't really work. And Bob got me signed up for QHS. And when I got my device, this was the first one right here.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah. And it came in a belt that you could wrap around your body. And man, I put it right on my hip. And within an hour, just literally an hour, the pain went from a 9 to a 1.
Wow.
It was a complete miracle, And man, I told all my friends, and the testimonies that my friends have. My friend Randy, he was actually had an expiration date until he got his device.
An expiration date?
The doctors gave him an expiration date. They couldn't help him. And he got his device September 4th, and literally changed his life.
What was his diagnosis?
He went to 6 specialists, couldn't figure out what it was, but he was actually vomiting at night, 1.5 pounds of fluid a night. So he couldn't keep anything in, he couldn't eat anything. And I remember the day that he called me and he says, I can't live like this. And I said, Randy, you got to hang on a little bit longer because your device is coming. It's coming. Just give it some time here. So his device showed up in September, and within 3 days, he had more energy. He was thinking about looking for a job. He was eating. He realized that he had to change his eating habits a little bit. But, I believe for the members, for myself, that's exactly what happened to me. Once the pain goes away, now you your body's batteries don't have to spend that energy on that pain. So now you're looking for things to do. You have more energy. My wife and I took dance lessons for the last 5 months. We've been to 8 concerts. We've been to 12 movies. We've been to Vegas twice. We went down and visited Wade at his factory. Wade's real. I mean, he's a real, manufacturing facility that creates these devices. He's very knowledgeable. And it was a privilege to see him and his family and spend time with them. It was a great experience.
That's amazing. So your hip pain went down to a level 1 within an hour. That is amazing. What about your shoulders, your elbows?
What's so amazing about this device is we begin to forget about our pain, our physical pain, and we move on. I mean, I would have to sit down and make a list of, okay, my shoulders, my elbows, my hip. It's like, man, I forgot about all that stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
So it's all gone.
I would say 90%.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the other thing, there was a lesson also in this whole thing for me physically. When I got the device and, your pain level goes down to a 1, you don't think about your hip anymore. You don't think about your pain here and there. But there was and I don't know how it came to me, but there was the little guy that sits on your shoulder and says, you really probably need to go to a chiropractor or an acupuncture just to make sure that it's out of the way. And the same guy on my shoulder said, if you do that and you don't rely on the device to keep healing you over and over, maybe it can go work on something else in your body. So this was just a kind of a thought
Epiphany,
that just kept coming into my mind. So I went to the chiropractor, I went to an acupuncture, and it was like the device went to another part of my body and started to heal the other part of my body. And the other part of my body, we will have cleansings. So the other part of my body started to cleanse. And there was a fungus that was inside of me that came out.
Were you aware of it before?
Yes. So I traveled internationally, and whether that had anything to do with it or not, when I came back from one of my trips in 2018, I had Montezuma's Revenge at noon every day for a half an hour. And so, your body explodes. If, it's kind of graphic, but it explodes on the toilet.
All right, I'm a health coach. I'm used to talking about poop.
So I would leave work. I would go home. I would explode. I would take a shower, get all clean, go back to work. And this was like 7 days in a row. And I had already been in contact with my doctor, and they just didn't know what was going on. So now they're taking blood, they're taking urine, they're taking stool, and send it off to a lab. The lab had no diagnosis at all. So then it was just hardcore antibiotics. And that seemed to kind of cure it. But what I was left with, and this sounds kind of gross, but I was left with a little bit of a loose stool. And that's just not any fun every day when you have to go to the bathroom. It's just that's not a fun situation. So that lasted until I got my device. What happened when I got this device, not only did my hip pain go away, but I actually had to take it off to eat and to go to the bathroom. Otherwise, I had no hunger, and I just wouldn't be able to pass anything. And when I did take it off to go to the bathroom, I finally kind of figured this out. I had good looking deer droppings, I mean, I was like, yes, this hasn't happened since 2018, so
Wow.
that was just a victory. And it may sound like a kind of a gross or small thing for someone, but if there are people out there that have, a loose stool and now you've got a normal stool, that's a huge win. That's a huge win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it just tells you that your body's flowing optimally. I mean, there's a thing called a Bristol chart. And essentially, since we're talking this direction, there's a Bristol chart that's online that you can look at that shows you the perfect, like the desired stool, which is supposed to be a large, fluffy snake. And anything else on either side of that isn't optimal, which means that, we need something more. But the inconvenience of having, a loose stool, because you just never know what's going to happen. What if you're out in public and all of a sudden, I know that that's happened to people. So that's giving you a lot of time back to enjoy more social activity.
Right.
Cool. So that's funny that we totally went down this direction. I love it. It's just so real and authentic, right? So is there anything else that you want to share, Mike?
I have had with this device, I wear it about 22 hours a day. When I go take a shower, I charge it up. I have had what you could say is healing, and I have also had cleansing. One of the things that cleansed out of me after I had this voice telling me that I needed to go, hey, just go to the chiropractor, get an adjustment, and let's move on. I had a cleansing of the fungus out of my body, which left scars on my left leg. And it was clearly at that point diagnosed as a fungus. And once you know what your ailment is, you can get it, especially like a fungus, you can get it treated. I've had fungus in my toenails because of trauma from sports and things. It's almost nearly gone.
Wow, from the device.
Yes. And you also have to take care of yourself. So I went to a Chinese medicine where they dug it all out. They cleaned it all out. I put, it's kind of a spread on there, every day. But prior to that, I had tried other things and they just didn't work. But now if you look at my toenails, which is kind of cool, they're 80% there, maybe 90. They're well on their way of healing.
Cool.
So people need to realize that there is a cleansing. Don't rely on the device to do all the healing for you. Do your due diligence. Go to your doctor, chiropractor. Don't just expect, that the device is going to take care of everything, because it's probably a low frequency for what it is. This one was, battery operated. It can only do so much. So take care of yourself as well. Like my good friend Randy, he had to change his diet. He just couldn't just go eat anything.
Yeah. Well, it's like people take better care of their cars. They're not going to go and put water in their gas tank, so we need to eat whole, healthy, good foods to create healthy cells. So I'm glad that he's doing that. And apparently the device is supposed to inspire us to innately want to make those choices.
Right.
So,
right.
That is, yeah, it's good. I also feel like junk in, junk out, you know. If
Right,
we put junk in, how can we expect to get amazing results out, you know?
right.
So that's awesome, Mike. So let's move to the next phase. And this is so exciting, is
Yeah,
we get an opportunity in a few weeks to renew our bodies completely and
right,
to have a do-over. So we have all this wisdom and knowledge and experience from the past, from the years that we've lived, and we get to
right,
bring it forward and have a second chance.
right.
What is that going to look like for you? What are you excited about?
So what's exciting about this device is it gives you energy and it recharges your battery. And as our batteries are low, we just want to go crawl in bed and we want to sleep. And we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. You know, we're looking for excuses not to do things because it takes energy. When you get the device, it begins to replenish your batteries. So physically first is great because now you're able to concentrate on mental and spiritual. So for me, I think the spiritual part of the whole journey is what's going to be healing.
Yeah. To remember who we are.
Yeah.
That's
So we
beautiful.
all have scars. And through life's journey, I think that this will allow us to shed, you know, those burdens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. No,
Well, it's beautiful because it's
yeah,
really truly the life that's been kept from us that we're going to be able to truly, with power and grace, step into it.
right, right,
And they need us.
right, right,
You know, we are the way showers.
right.
That's a huge responsibility.
Well, it's very overwhelming, actually, you know, to be invited to the Q arc. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of emotion because actually asking the question of what are you going to do after the arc? Man, that's not something that I consciously, you know, thought about. But I have consciously understood the journey of physical health, mental health, and spiritual health, which is really important.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also, you know, knowing what we know, we've made mistakes and we wish we wouldn't have done that. And we wish we would have done this a little bit better. And now we get to start over and we get to relive it all that we want with our lessons learned.
Right.
So it's exciting to be able to say, what am I going to get to do now?
Right.
You know, what are you excited about? What do you just like that you're like my husband, he loves to sleep in the morning, but when he gets to go golfing, man, that guy gets up or go to the tractor show, he gets up early, right?
Right.
So because he's excited to do that. So what are you excited to do?
You know, in the last 6 to 8 months, you know, we've been doing the things that we've been excited to do: concerts, movies, man, taking dancing lessons. You know, I mean, and we didn't just take one. We took West Coast swing, we took salsa, bachata, and two-step. You know, and
Wow.
yeah, so you know, just to have the energy to do that. You know, honestly, before the device, I was looking for excuses not to do things, you know, to preserve the energy that I have. You know, years back, I would spend like, for example, if I wanted to learn how to build a website, I'd lock myself in the basement, and for, 3 days, that I had, every moment I had off of work, I would learn how to do, domains, websites, some coding, things like that. And I would do that on my free time. And my free time was when I got off after work. And then when at the time, my girlfriend would fall asleep, now that was my free time. And I would spend the time and energy until I was so tired that I just knew that I wouldn't get up in the morning. So I would go again. Well, as we age, our body forgets how to do that kind of energy, where we can literally get up at 5 o'clock, go to bed at 2 o'clock, and have all these interests. You begin to deplete, where you're like, you got to go to bed at 9 o'clock,
Hey, don't make fun about that. That's
right.
I like sleeping.
Right. But that was my life for years and years and years. We're talking 20 years, learning to trade options. I would literally did the same thing. I would wait until my girlfriend at the time would go to sleep, and then I would study options till I couldn't see, and I knew I had to go to bed.
Wow.
And probably in the last 10 years, I haven't been able to do that. Now, that kind of energy is coming back. That kind of attention towards projects is, I'm able to spend that energy, which is so cool. And then on top of that, take dancing lessons, go to concerts, go to, movies.
That's fun. Well, you don't look that old. How old are you?
Well, and the reason I don't look that old is because I've never told anybody my age.
Oh, you're like my friend Liz.
One of those. I'm actually 61 years old.
Oh, okay. You look young.
Yeah. And thank you. Now you know why I don't tell anybody. And I don't want to claim it. I just don't want to claim it.
Oh, I like claiming it. I'm happy with the way I look for my age, because I just look at my parents and they didn't look healthy, when they were my age. So I step into it and own it.
Oh.
I'm 57, so you're older than me. But if I was you, I would be like, yeah, I'm 61. I mean, like, own it, because you look great.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
I have some employees that, they're in their late 50s and they look like they're in their 80s, and so kind of one of the reasons I don't mention my age is because when they say, oh, I'm so tired, I do this, I do that, and I have, this problem and that problem, and you'll get there when you get to be my age,
well, you can inspire them, Mike. Come on, inspire them of what's hopeful. Like I always say, you're not too old, and it's never too late to do a 180 and change the trajectory of your life. So you can inspire people to, live with vitality. So that's awesome. So you excited about our trip to Utah? Are you excited about the Q Arc?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is going to be a lifetime experience that none of us are going to forget. As you and I are in the same group with the key on preparing after the arc, there's a whole universe after the arc that a lot of people haven't thought about yet, and that is your mental and spiritual. One of the when I was a child, my parents were in a holy roller church, and I would see people come into the church and they would find themselves, at the altar being saved. And they actually thought that, that they had just a complete new energy from, God and the Holy Spirit. But within 1 week, they were ready to jump off a cliff because they thought that all of their problems were also healed. All of their,
Oh,
bad habits, the things that got them to that point. So the aftercare of the arc is really near and dear to my heart. You know, I I I really I really love the way Laura and Christine have owned this and are taking it in a completely new direction that I never in my thoughts thought of, you know.
mm-hmm.
Um, so so it is going to be a spiritual journey for a lot of people, and they have to be prepared to receive that. And just by being a part of the group, I know that, I mean, a lot of the things that they describe, I do naturally, you know. One door open, one door closes, one door opens, just go through it, no
Mm-hmm.
fear. All of those stories that they tell, I just need to get them all, in a category to make sure that I'm doing them all. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do. I just want to
Yeah.
do them all.
I need to organize this whole key experience because I'm kind of like feeling like it's popcorn, like a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yep,
And it's like, that's why I want to see your notes because I
yep,
just feel a little overwhelmed and I really want to listen to everything again over this weekend
right.
so I can just let it sink in deeper. Because I love the vibration and I love
Yeah,
the experience in there. And I can't wait till we bring it out to the members
yeah,
because I feel like it's going to be very, very helpful for
right,
everyone. But their energy is so amazing. Like I just like being in their presence.
right. It is love.
Yes.
It's love, they just truly, you feel the joy and the love. And that's going to be the experience for a lot of people after the arc, is the true feeling of joy and love. And they may not understand where this is all coming from, but hopefully with the aftercare, we can help members understand and maintain that. And that was kind of the story of my childhood being in the Holy Roller Church. Is Man, I would tell my parents, you guys really need to put up a kind of a program afterwards for these people, because they're like splat into the wall. They have so much energy, you know. So
Yeah, I
it's
can't imagine that, like what that would be like. But for the key project, I think it's awesome. We're just going to have we're going to need many boots on the ground with that
right,
progress or that process.
right, and
So,
right, and we're going to have to all remember how to positively, and spiritually be able to handle that energy so we don't direct it in the wrong direction. There's going to be a lot of people on fire,
I have a feeling that the quantum consciousness involved with this new earth that we're developing will not allow that to take place. I believe, like, I don't know if you read Elias's post this morning with
Oh
Saint
yes.
Germain. It was so
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Oh
I do
yes.
a prayer group every morning and I read it to them and it was just like chills.
Right.
And that I feel is what's going to be. And so those of us that remain I have a feeling that the dark or the negative energy will just not be part of our experience.
Right. Yeah, no, I brought that into my meditation this morning.
Ah,
Yeah. And it was, if you do that, it was just pure love. It's just amazing. It was
I know.
amazing.
That
Yeah.
was really, really, really a great experience. Can you imagine being in his shoes and getting that? I was
Right.
just like, wow, that was a lot of communication. So
Right.
that was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So is there anything else you want to share with the listeners to inspire them to just to take on and get to experience this do-over?
You know, in my lifetime, I have seen a lot of people with a lot of fears and doubts, even in my own family. You know, as I'm talking to my older sister, she's like, well, yeah, I just want to wait. I just want to wait and see what happens to you, you know? Okay.
Likewise,
You
yeah.
know, well, I'll be first. I was talking to her yesterday, and she's like, well, yeah, but couldn't you imagine, you know, if mom actually was able to walk around and, you know, take care of herself? Yeah, well, I don't know if I really want that for mom. And I'm,
What?
what? But, you know, you have to, we all learn in talking to our own family that you can't come after them with a verbal, you know, like what? You know, I was like, oh, okay, you know, supportive. Okay. All right. You
Yeah.
know, that's your decision.
They're on their own journey.
Right. And I don't know if that stems from fear. I don't know where that actually stems from. But for those of you that are thinking, well, I'm just going to watch and just going to wait and see what happens to these guys, you shouldn't do that. You know, if the door is open, you should be running through that door, not walking. Run, don't walk.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you know you're in the present moment. When the door opens and you go through it, the only way to stay in the present moment is to go through the door and not think about the fears and the things that are coming in from all directions.
Yeah, get out of your head.
Yeah.
And something I'll add to that is that if you look at your trend in your life, like if things keep going the way they've been going,
Yeah.
you know, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, in that current trend, do you like what you see? If not, we have a solution.
Right. Right.
So that I feel like most people don't have options. And I feel though our examples and when they see us, it's going to make a big game changer.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Inspired action. All right, my darling. Well, I just want to thank you so much. And thank you for being, you know, here sharing your story. Thank you for being a big part of the Key project. And I mean, together we're all going to grow leaps and bounds. So it's
oh my
really
gosh,
fun.
yeah, the growth is going to be huge. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, me too.